How's it going, everybody? Welcome to another video on the channel today. Big old day in the NBA world, huh? Last couple days have been pretty good, as you guys know, or you guys should know. It is free agency time, and it's really starting to heat up. This week we knew it was going to start heating up, and boy, did it start. Let's go over the big points of the time because we already went over last week's stuff with Giannis and the Julius Randle trade, and a lot of stuff has happened. So let's get into some of these. Right, we're not going to go over someone like Tarek Borovich, sorry, Bibber Biberovich, because it's just not really what we're trying to do. Let's go over Santi Aldama going for a first round pick kind of blew my. Yeah, it's protected, but going for a first round pick, 2 second rounds, and a player is kind of crazy to me. Let's get to the big one. Let's just start off with a big bang. Jaylen Brown going to Paul George going to Philadelphia for Paul George. 2 firsts, 2 seconds. Holy. Let's explain kind of what's going on here for anybody who doesn't know. Jaylen Brown is the second star of the Boston Celtics. Had a top 5 MVP voting year. Almost made NBA first team. Really damn good season for him. And with Jason Tatum coming back, they did blow a 3-1 lead to the Philadelphia 76ers, which they ended up trading with this to get Paul George, 2 first rounds and 2 second round picks. Let's go over this because you think 2 firsts is great. We'll leave Paul George for the end. Like 2 second round picks, sure, right? You're gonna move off of them most likely, or you'll draft a guy that may make a bench or whatever, just maybe a bench player or whatever it may be. 2 first round picks. Let's go over these for 2 first round picks. One is a swap that Boston low key has the advantage on, so that's a good thing. But the second one, let's put it this way. You gave Philadelphia Jaylen Brown when they already had Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, that both are under 25 and both are going to get better, and then Joel Embiid is still playing. I don't know what's going on here. I really have no idea. I don't think it's a good idea at all for them to be doing this, and I think it is one of the worst trades I've ever seen because of this first thing going on here with my boy Paul George. Let's go to Paul George stats. Alright, so Paul George. This year, Paul George played 37 games with 17 points on pretty decent shooting. Not bad, right? My issue is he's played 37 games. That is my issue. My second issue is the year before he played 41 games. So combined, he hasn't even played an NBA season in 2 years. He's old. He is now, 36? Yeah, as of the last month. Yeah, last 2 months, he's now 36. So you traded Jaylen Brown, which is in the middle of his prime at age 30, for Paul George, 36, and has not even played a full amount of season games in 2 seasons. That's not great. Especially when, I guarantee you, if you went to a lot of these teams, you could have gotten a lot more, or you could have gotten a better player. For example, my Detroit Pistons, as people may know, Jalen Duren is probably going to get signed and traded. You're telling me you wouldn't have wanted Jalen Duren over Paul George? Yeah, you're probably not getting the draft capital, but Philly's going to be really good, just as good as Detroit. So, I mean, you might as well just go for a player that's going to be really good fitting along Jason Tatum. Cleveland Cavaliers, same thing. You wouldn't want a Jarrett Allen over a Paul George. You wouldn't want to, you know what I'm saying, like Evan Mobley over Paul George. You wouldn't want that. Going down the list, Lakers got Walker Kessler. You're telling me you wouldn't want Kessler over Paul George? I'm going to be honest. I'm taking a lot of players, at least one player on every team, or close to one player on every team, that is realistic over Paul George. I'm not going to get into it because it's not that big of a deal, But Paul George's value is really low. He's on a really terrible contract. If you look at this guy's contract, let's see, can we find it on here? I'm just gonna look at it. I can't type. Let's take a look at Bro's contract. So, Paul George's contract. This year, cap hit of $54 million. And next year, he's going to be making 56 and a half. That's not a good trade, like, at all. I don't understand this whole notion of it being a good trade. I don't think anybody, I really hope nobody's thinking that, but it's not great. Not great. I think it'll go down as one of the worst trades in history when Jaylen Brown goes and does really well in Philadelphia, especially trading him to a conference rival that just whooped your ass in a 3-1 comeback. So, I don't know. That's all I really got to say about it. Tobias Harris going to San Antonio. I'm going to miss him in Detroit. He played really good for us in the playoffs, but 2 years, $31 million, not bad. Really good pickup for San Antonio. Kelly Oubre re-signed Anthony Melton. So let's get into the Lakers. This is something that I think is very interesting because these four trades all have to. So all four of these deals have to do with the Lakers. Let's get into the just the cheap ones. 2-year 19 for Colin Sexton. I don't think that's bad. Yeah, he doesn't play defense because he's a smaller guard. And he's going to get picked on, but he's going to be a bench player anyway, so it's not even really that important. As well as Quentin Grimes, another guard that's just going to come off the bench. So, and I think Quentin Grimes has a pretty good opportunity to get some good minutes for this team as a six-man type of role. Mamu from the Raptors, 4-year, $52 million to be a backup center or even a starting power forward. To pair along this guy, Walker Kessler. I'm not gonna lie, they overpaid for Walker Kessler for sure. 130 mil for 4 years. It's a lot of money. For someone that I don't think is worth that. Again, I could be wrong. You know what I'm saying? $32.5 million for a guy. The issue is with the center market. You look at the NBA centers right now. It's like Jokic, and then there's a gap. So Jokic and Wemby, and then there's a gap. And then it's like your Embiid, if we're even considering Karl Anthony Towns a center, because he's been playing power forward, but even then, we'll consider him there. Jalen Duren, that's like another tier. Kessler's probably on that third tier with Hartenstein and all these guys. But in reality, I mean, I think Walker Kessler is a perfect fit for Luka. I really do. He's going to be a really good lob threat as well as he plays really fantastic defense in the interior. Did they overpay? Sure. Giving up 2 first-round picks unprotected and first-round swaps as well. I think it is a little bit of an overpay, but at the same, just for them to have to pay him anyway. But I don't know. Shout out to Walker Kessler, man. I think it's going to be a good deal. Mitchell Robinson, 3-year, $47 for Celtics. I know a lot of Knicks fans are mad about Mitchell Robinson signing this. I'm sorry, go get your bag, bro. And I think Mitchell Robinson also expected, like, if they were going to trade Jaylen Brown, they were going to get a lot more in return for it. I get it's a rivalry thing. I totally understand that. But they paid him the money, bro. I mean, I don't think the Knicks were going to make him a deal like this, especially with all the guys they have on the books. So, shout out Mitchell Robinson. Congratulations for getting your bag, man. Wagner to the Nets. Shout out Mike Conley playing his 20th season. Shout out to him. Vucevic going back to the Magic for 1 year. That's kind of cool. I mess with that. Norman Powell. This is one I was pretty upset about. I kept hearing Norman Powell to Detroit, Norman Powell to Detroit, and then he goes to Chicago, and it's like, oh, any other team, bro. But regardless, shout out Norman Powell getting a decent bag. I thought he was going to get more, to be honest with you. I thought he was going to be around the 25, 28 range, but no, he got his bag. Let's go. Let's get into this now. John Collins, 3-year, $51, well, $17 million for John Collins. I like this. This is an add-on for a front court for a lob threat. This is just a lob threat that can play pretty consistent defense at the 4 spot, which was our weakest position at the end of this year. Um, so I'm really excited to see what John Collins will do here. Now the question is, do we bring Jalen Duren back? That's the real question. If Jalen Duren comes back to Detroit, I'm going to be mad excited, but I also don't want to pay him 40 mil or whatever he's wanting. You know what I'm saying? Like, we'll bring him back for 30 because that's what the market is. Like, if Isaiah Hartenstein got 27 to 30 million, which was a couple years ago, I get it. But even then, like, the market is, especially with Walker Kessler getting the money he got, I'm assuming Jalen Duren's going to want at least 36, you know, so I have a feeling we're probably going to sign and trade, and it's probably going to have to do something with Sabonis. So, but if we bring Duren back and then have John Collins and Duren, I think that'd be a really good fit, actually. Um, Marcus Smart to the Houston Rockets on a 2-year, $13 million deal. Dean Wade getting a 4-year, 30, almost a 10 mil contract a year. Kind of surprised on that. I didn't think he's worth that. Shout out to him though. Luke Kennard, I think, is a big steal, just like Keon Ellis. I think these were two really good pickups. Luke Kennard making $6.5 million. That's pretty damn good. I think, especially if you're lacking 3-point shooting, which the Pistons are, and a lot of teams are, to be honest with you. But getting a guy that can hit at damn near 40% clip is a really, really good sign for this team. Keon Ellis getting a $9 million deal. I think he's going to be great for Brooklyn, especially with the timeline that they're in. Another young guy you compare with Igor Demin, Danny Wolf, all these young guys, Noah Clowney. These guys are trying to get to where they're trying to get to. This is going to be really good for them. So shout out to Brooklyn Nets for getting a pretty good deal for this kid. Let's get to the other big trade. Let's get to the other big one. Toronto bringing back Kawhi. I love it. I think really good fit for Toronto. I think it is going to be hell for any team in the Eastern Conference, or any team for that matter, to have to go up against a Scotty Barnes, Kawhi Leonard defensive front. That's going to be scary. So shout out to Kawhi Leonard. He went for 2 first-round picks that are unprotected and 2 second rounds and a next year's swap with the Clippers. So really, really good pickups for Kawhi, to be honest with you. Obviously, you probably would have liked to have a player in there. You know, like I don't. But even then, like, who would you get? The only guy that you would really, really care about is Darius Garland, and they're not going to give up Darius Garland. That's who they got for James Harden. So that's something that 2 first-round picks that are probably going to be in the late round. You know what I'm saying? Because I think Toronto's going to be really good. But yeah, I mean, they're 2 end of the lot. Sorry, 2 end 20s picks, I would say, depending on what the team is looking like in 2031 and 2033. Because that is a little far away. I don't think Kawhi Leonard's going to play to 2033. Maybe not even play to 2031. Tim Hardaway Jr., Miami Heat. Okay. Ousmane Dieng getting signed. Is there anything else? Oh my gosh, I forgot about Brandon Ingram and Grady Dick for that. They did get 2 players. I'm tripping. Yeah, Grady Dick and Brandon Ingram are going to the team as well. Yeah, I mean, Brandon Ingram is Brandon Ingram. He's going to be that regular season guy. Second gets in the playoffs. He's kind of a shrinker. Grady Dick really wasn't playing, to be fair. I do think that Toronto did win this trade, to be fair. But, I mean, take your chances on Grady Dick. Take your 2 first rounds and 2 second rounders and a swap and see what it looks like. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with that. Brandon Ingram, try to see what you can get for him. He's on a pretty big contract, so that's something you're definitely going to have to watch for. LeBron's probably going to get his own video. I can't lie when he gets his deal. Robert Williams coming back to Portland. I think that's a good deal for them. Another center that can pair with Avdia and Scoot Henderson. Good job for Porzingis too, getting 20 mil. And then we brought back Kevin Herter. Champagny got re-signed. There's a lot of little deals now going on. The last one I really wanted to talk about um, is Ja Morant. So with Ja Morant, this is a little interesting because he didn't go for quite a bit. He went for Jeremy Grant and Chris Murray. I guess my concern is the fit against with Avdia. I just don't think that they're going to pair well together. And honestly, with Ja Morant being so low in value, it's going to sound crazy, but I think Jeremy Grant and Chris Murray is actually too much for Ja Morant. Um, Ja Morant's value is so low, and a lot of teams don't value him as much. So I genuinely believe that a lot of these guys are just like shrugging off Ja Morant, if that makes sense. Um, we'll see. I mean, I hope he proves, hope he proves me wrong, but we'll see. We will definitely see there. Um, yeah, I really don't want to talk too much about anything else because, like, the other things are like Zach LaVine opting in to Sacramento. Nobody cares about Sacramento. Um, James Harden gonna get a new structured contract. Fred VanVleet opted in. Oh, duh, we have one more. I totally forgot. We didn't talk about the LaMelo Ball trade that happened about a week ago now. Um, honestly, you turned Julius Randle into LaMelo Ball. I'm not mad at that. I genuinely think, obviously, Julius Randle. I was giving a lot of shit to the Timberwolves about getting Julius Randle, which is giving up Julius Randle for basically nothing. I still truly believe that that was a bad trade, but it makes a lot of sense to bring in LaMelo Ball that gives Anthony Edwards another shot creator, that gives Anthony Edwards a main playmaker, and gives Anthony Edwards another guy and another point guard that they've been talking about for so long. And on top of that, getting Josh Green, which is a pretty good defender, and he'll come off the bench most likely. So you got a bench player and LaMelo Ball. Unfortunately, you lose Naz Reid, which does suck, which means Gobert really has to step up. Um, you did give up some swaps. You gave up one actual pick and then 3 second rounders. I don't think that's bad at all. I really don't. I think honestly, I still think Charlotte got the edge on this deal. You still bring in Naz Reid to come help, and then probably trade him next offseason. And then you got an unprotected first, which is it's gonna be a mid pick or whatever. And then you have 3 swaps and 3 second round pick, 3 picks as well. You got a lot of draft capital for a guy 6 months ago that wasn't. To be fair to LaMelo, he's raised his stock a little bit with how he played midway through the season, but a guy that's not very healthy a lot of the time, doesn't play a ton of games because he does get hurt. And on top of that, you guys realize that, hey, we're ready to get into the Con Knipple era, as well as adding pieces around him that are really going to make everybody better. So we'll see. You know what I'm saying? I'm totally for what Charlotte is doing here. They sold high on LaMelo, and I think that's great. And I think it also works out for Minnesota as well because Minnesota gets a guard that they've literally been looking for a point guard for 2 years. It's been 2 or 3 years looking for a freaking point guard for this team. So very good for them. I think both teams did very, very good. And then these are just a lot of small ones. A lot of small ones. These are all trade ones. Okay. So I had an actual script ready to go for my predictions of how the season's gonna go, but now I'm gonna wait till the end of free agency. I think that just makes a ton of sense. I was gonna do a video before free agency and I just didn't get it out. That's my fault. I do have a video, the 82-0 video, probably gonna go up. After this one, I gotta make a thumbnail for it. I've been putting it off. But yeah, no, this is I'm really excited to be back again. Really am. I think there's a lot of really good moves going on here. I think it's very interesting that the Nuggets have been very quiet. That's a team I thought was going to make a lot of moves because Jokic did decline his option to re-sign because he's waiting for what's going on. You know what I'm saying? So you got to figure out what's going on with Jokic, man. You got to please him or you got to move off of him. What are they going to do with Peyton Watson as well? You know, are they going to make a big move to get? I thought they were going to go after Jaylen Brown. That's what I really thought was going to happen, especially now with how low of a value Jaylen Brown received. That's crazy to me, man. I'm surprised they didn't go after him hard. I think a lot of teams are kind of surprised, like, hey, we could have offered you a better package. But I think Boston was just so insistent on just getting this guy off the team, which is insane to me. It can't be that bad to where you had to trade for Paul George, man. It really can't. Regardless, I don't know. I don't know. This is it's a very interesting team. Very interesting. A lot of teams aren't making a lot of decisions. There's a lot of teams I'm just kind of being a little quiet, and I, especially like a Denver, that like really should be going after some big fish here, especially with the way they went out. Houston being very quiet as well. To be honest, I think Detroit's been very quiet too, as well as Cleveland. There's been a lot of teams that have been very, very quiet, and I guarantee you it's because they're trying to make that one or two moves that are gonna sway some momentum. You know, because what's gonna happen with Braun? You know what I'm saying? That's something that has been talked about. What's gonna happen with Kevin Durant? That's another one. Is Houston gonna bring him back? Um, if not, where's he gonna go? You know, so who knows? Wait, am I stupid? Oh, let me take a look. Oh, he's signed through the end of next year. I'm tripping. But regardless, shout out to what's going on, man. I'm really enjoying this free agency, and the last few free agencies have been really good. So this is something definitely that has gotten better throughout the years, and a lot of teams are starting to realize the formula of winning is, if you're gonna build a top end team, you got to have a bunch of young guys. You know what I'm saying, on rookie contracts or on cheap contracts, like for example Luke Kennard, or like a these guys making 10 million and under, like Keon Ellis would have been a really good pickup for a lot of teams. A guy that can play defense and a guy that can shoot the ball. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of these role players are going to be very important to the success of winning with really top end talent, like a Shea and a Chet and Jalen Williams, or a Wemby and whoever you pair him up with, or Jokic and Murray, or Cade and whoever is going to be with Cade, Brunson, and them. You're going to have a lot of changes, and you're going to have to start cycling players. That's why it's going to be really hard for teams to repeat and stuff like that going forward due to the new CBA. But other than that, this is very interesting to see what's going to go on. We still have a couple more moves. LeBron will probably get his own video, to be fair. First off, it gets me views. Second off, no, like LeBron deserves his own video. To be honest with you, he's the second best player of all time. Some people have him the GOAT, So, but regardless, that's a topic for a whole nother day. Yeah, so that's all I got for y'all, man. We'll see what happens with LeBron and all these guys, and we'll talk to you guys in the next one. And hope y'all have a great day.